politics. Okay, bro, ito na. Woo! Medyo natapos na yung second edition ng Bitcoin discussion natin. Now, let's go back a little bit to politics right now. Well, before going to our local politics, pag-usapan natin yan. I mean, first of all, how nervous do you feel about this tensions in the West Philippine Sea? I mean, some of itong mga hidwaan na nangyari, medyo mukhang, there are people in China who are saying, it's time for us to show our swords to remind the Filipinos who's the superpower here. May ganun may ganun ang dating at medyo nakakatakot. And at the same time, in fairness to President Marcos Jr. has made it clear, this is not his preference. This is his constitutional duty. He has to protect every inch of our sovereign rights or sovereign territory for that matter, right? Are you worried about potential conflict here as things going, or you're seeing this as part of just a long telenovela drama?
Yeah, I'm not worried at all kasi honestly, China, I think, has seen with Russia as an example of what can happen if they try to use military might. And they know that the Philippines has a defense treaty with the United States. So dahil doon, takot talaga sila. They do not want to get into a war with the United States. Now, what they're doing is just, these are kind of like covert tactics to push their weight without crossing that red line. Kaya nga water cannons, ganun lang yan, binabangga ka lang. Kasi kung talagang gera gusto nila, they should have just shot one of our ships down, di ba? Or just sank one of them. Pero they're just kind of like bumping it and everything. So harassment yung ginagawa nila. China is very careful. Kasi even when you look at it with the Taiwan issue, kasi we're connected with that eh. Kasi the EDCA actually allows the bases to go on top. We're close to Taiwan. Very near Taiwan eh. So in that sense, that's why galit sila sa US at saka sa Pilipinas because of that as well. Ngayon, will China ever attack? No, I don't think so. They know the repercussions of attacking, and plus their economy is actually not doing that great right now as well. So there are a lot of factors that play into this on that decision of whether they're going to attack or not. And remember, if they attack, hindi lang US and Pilipinas ang kalaban nila. You've got Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, Australia, lahat yan. My God, and many more are going to go against them. They're not gonna be able to withstand that.
Marami silang mga people who have an axe to grind with China, diba? Kasi if you're Taiwan, if you could be next, right? If you're Japan, you're worried about Taiwan and Philippines, then you could be next, right? So you'll have this kind of ito yung mga law of unintended consequence, because when idiots like Putin invaded Ukraine, they thought they're walking into some village and they'll take over in 2 years, right? The next thing you know, the Ukrainians fought back. The next thing you know, the most developed, advanced countries on earth, from Korea and Japan all the way to Europe, they all gang up on Russia essentially via the brave Ukrainians. So I think you're right in that sense. I think the counter argument always to that would be, hindi kaya maging desperate yung leadership sa China, because the one thing that gave them legitimacy was not elections, was not their lovability, was about economic performance. And now 5% is the best they can really offer, assuming their numbers are legit. So some people are saying, baka yun yung maging reason na maghanap sila ng distraction, because sometimes when a beast is wounded or cornered, they're even more dangerous. Again, for me, I think both sides of the argument, we can have a debate about it. But what about the Chinoi community? I mean, do you think there's also a worry about the Chinoi community that this could have a spillover effect also?
When you say a spillover effect, are you referring to what? Like there could be a negative repercussions
Yeah, I
on
mean, like
Chinoys?
ridiculous things about like, Chinoys, where do you stand on things? I mean, we had the Chinoi billionaire in the Philippines openly questioning the president, and you could see the responses were not substantive. The responses were, kasi mga to, hindi naman talaga ganyan. You know what I'm saying? All of that stuff, right? And the reason I'm asking you is because you're a perfect embodiment of, being Pinoy is not about any ethnicity or color, etc. It's about your loyalty, your culture, your identity, right? But nevertheless, I'm sure that some of our Chinoy friends, some of my Chinoy friends, I talk to them, they have been following these things because, they have worries that it could boomerang on them unfairly, obviously. That's where I come from.
Yeah. Well, I don't well, right now the irony is this, I get people that yung mga Dutertards that will say to me, "Shut up ka na lang. Chinese ka naman eh." And I'm like, "Wait, wait. You're criticizing me because I'm Chinese. Get out of the country, but yet the guy you follow
exactly. I mean,
is
ridiculous.
supporting and literally the lapdog of China. I mean, like, I don't understand you. You should be, kung yun ang sinusundan mo, you should be bowing down to me." So there's just a disconnect. It's just cognitive dissonance all around.
Yeah,
So
lang, ang style yata nila, pulot ka na lang ng kahit ano di ba? Like, Parang ganun, oh, may ganyan pulot natin 'to. Walang
Yeah,
walang
well,
ano, walang logic, walang coherence, eh.
wala na, kaya nga I don't even bother. It's just hilarious. So ngayon, I'm not really worried about the general narrative, or is there like a cohesive parang view of Chinoys for or against with what will happen with China? I don't think so. I think each one has their own opinion based on where their loyalties lie, or maybe because of where their business lies. So they have to speak a certain narrative. As we know, some of these billionaires have a lot of businesses in China. And maybe that's why they're a little bit more careful with what they say. So it depends on what your motivation is and what your intention is. I don't think it's a cohesive, unified parang view on the Chinese aggression.
Which is exactly the point I wanted to hear, which is like it's just like the rest of Filipinos. There's always diversity of opinion on this kind of issue, also across generation, across socioeconomic classes, and also depending on your orientation and all. Last one on this short episode before we go to Kiboloy and Duterte. I mean, how do you feel about Marcos? Because he seems to be, hitting all the right notes, no? On South China Sea,
Okay.
Philippine Sea, his speech in Australia. I just came from Washington D.C. the other week. They were super impressed about him. I'm heading back to Japan. I was in Japan. They love him. In Europe, they're head over. They're all gaga over him, and I was like, what? But at the same time, I cannot deny. I mean, the guy is not doing too bad on West Philippine Sea. I'm not talking about Maharlika Fund and all of the mambo jumbos. I'm just talking about the West Philippine Sea foreign policy. He's not doing bad at all, is he? I mean.
So alam mo, Marcos, the way I see him, he's a very good statesman. Very diplomatic, very, knows how to make somebody feel good. He loves to socialize. His whole life was about socializing. That's why he loves traveling. What I'm worried about is he's traveling so much that there's really an absentee president, unfortunately. Again, he's leaving for where? Japan now? Or no, Germany or something.
Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic, and
There
Germany.
he's
Yeah.
leaving again. He just arrived from Australia. He's leaving again. So,
He
but
arrived
then
from 2 trips to Australia. Like,
right, oh, there. So that just proves that in reality, the president is not as significant as people think, as long as they get out of the way. Kasi the government body is, there are a lot of people that are actually the machinery that runs the government, and they're apolitical. They're just doing their job. And ang problem lang is when you get a president that wants to, basically throw the kitchen sink at the system and can I swear here? Or wag na lang. O sige. Yeah, okay. So
para tayong
basically they want to
editor.
just yeah,
Ah,
they just want to
tit, tit,
basically
tit. Okay.
ruin the whole system for their own political gain. But as long as they stay out of the way, the machinery will work. Marcos has shown that, hey, listen, you're the department head, bahala ka dyan, or the people under you, they all know what they're doing, or go, do it, make it happen, ganun lang. So the less he does, the more the government works, which is ironic, na
Get
parang,
out
wait,
of the way. Like, no,
yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
honestly, bro, I mean, nung panahon ni Digong, speaking of absentee landlord, I think Digong is still the gold standard for that, right? He's like the
Yeah.
Bitcoin of the absentee. Like, I mean, the guy was going home to Davao every other weekend or
Yeah.
something like that if he's not abroad. But hindi lang sa COVID. Naka 40 foreign travels in his first 2
Yeah.
years or so, di
And
ba?
remember, even when
Yeah.
he was in the ASEAN meets and everything, he didn't even attend most of the conferences. He was
Uh,
asleep. He did not want to face all these people because he knew he was going to be criticized. Some of these people are very sharp when they talk.
ayaw
And
talaga sa kanya ng mga ibang ASEAN. It's not true na because Digong was pro-China, gusto siya ng ibang ASEAN. Nakakahiya siya, honestly. Yun ang tingin ng ibang ASEAN leader. And this
yeah,
came from our friends in other countries. I'm not gonna mention what. In fact, the term na I use, slavish, that's not from us. It comes from one of the key ASEAN countries. They said, what's up with your president? Like, I get that he doesn't want to be with US and all, pero you don't have to go like that towards China. Medyo isa-isa.
yeah.
Diba? So in fairness naman to BBM, he's traveling, he's not sleeping. Sleeping during the
Right.
talk. He's giving good talks, very impassioned. Yes, people will say magaling yung advisor niya. Well, at least pumili siya ng magaling na advisor. Unlike
Yeah.
Digong na yan, di ba? Mga Michael Yang, yung mga ganyan, yung mga advisor niya.
Right.
Di ba? So, I mean, I think he deserves a little bit credit for that. But I think this is a perfect transition in the next episode because since last time we talked, you see, big things happened, right? At least on 2 occasions in Davao and Cebu, the Duterte clan are openly attacking Marcos. So that's where I disagree not in general, but now specifically in the sense that you're right that minsan mas maganda the president just gets out of the way. But the problem here is someone else wants to get that seat in
Mm.
Malacanang, and we didn't vote for this person anymore, thankfully, right? So
Yep.
so now you want the president to be a little bit more in the town because otherwise the
Yes.
Dutertes will come back. So let's discuss that in next episode because I think this is something very important development aside from Bitcoin since last time we talked, bro. Salamat.
All right.
Thank you very much.